All right, macro perspective peeps, man. I am super excited for this episode. But before we get into it, please like, comment, and share. When you give us a share, guys, you're giving this to somebody else that can utilize it. And today's episode, I'm actually super, super honored and super grateful to have one person that's been pivotal in my life in like the last 3 to 4 years, Ed Turney. Man, guys, he is the director of affiliate growth with Prestige Labs, which has been a killer in the supplement game, giving about $18 million plus in commissions to gym owners all around the country. He's a speaker. He spoke recently at GymCon with some of the best in the world in the business of gyms. And, he's been a previous gym owner, but to me personally, he's been a mentor in my day to day. I remember being in the lion's den every day with him during the worst time in our economy that I've known of as an adult during the lockdown, and he gave me all the tools that I needed to grow as an individual. So I really just want to say, Ed, thanks for being on today. I really appreciate you being here.
Man, that's the best intro I've gotten ever in my career so far. So thank you. But let me just frame it for everybody else. I give the same information and advice to every single client, every single person I know. You're in the 1% that actually executed on the advice. So it has nothing to do with me, man. Like, you actually did the work. So that's what matters.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Marcos and let him kind of carry most of the conversation, just because I've, been able to tune into your ear every day. So Marcos, whatever you got for our man Ed here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I think first it's like the background with Prestige and how you got there is my first question. Like,
Yeah.
where did you start and how did you get to that role?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was just kind of framing this in my mind last night, just because, like, we have new things on the horizon. And so, like, when you think about the future, sometimes you like think about the past, like where you started. So I was actually just doing this in my head last night. I was a gym owner on accident for 10 years. So I was a martial arts guy. I kind of like took over the martial arts school, as most martial arts people do that are dedicated to that thing. I realized quickly it was not a viable thing to make a career financially out of, especially like it was like old school training. It's like, knocking people's heads off and full contact fighting. Not very marketable. And this is like in the 90s and early 2000s. I added a fitness kickboxing program for the moms of the kids that we taught. That became a more reasonable business to scale. I scaled that to like 40 grand a month. And I thought I was the shit. Can I curse in this podcast? Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Please.
just making sure. Yeah. I thought I was the shit. And I started making like business content around like fitness kickboxing gyms, because I thought I was really, really clever about this. Come to find out, 40 grand a month and taking home 5 grand as a profit is a pretty bad business model. But I thought I was so cool because I had all these people. And then a friend of mine joined Gym Launch, Alex and Layla Hormozi's first company that they founded, or first big company that they founded. And he basically got to 40 grand a month in like 90 days. And I was pissed because it took me like 5 years and it took him like 90 days. So I dropped everything I was doing. I became a client of Gym Launch. I shut my mouth about any business advice for the next 5 years. And I just worked with them directly. I exited the gyms in 2020 after we scaled to about 1.2 million a year at that location. And then once I was just hanging out doing nothing, Alex gave me a call and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, Tinder, nothing, just bored and single and have no businesses. And he goes, "Well, we need someone to come be the head of, affiliate relationships at Prestige." He goes, "Since you sold the most subs at your gym, would you want to do it?" And I was like, "That sounds better than working with Julie at 6 a.m. for a kickboxing class." So that was 2.5 years ago. I've been on the team.
Wow. Crazy. So being able to like apply those systems that you were, talking about, you give away to people, how did you find yourself being able to do it? Like, what was the first thing that you did that then you started to see like the model works?
Yeah, I think so. I was very uncoachable for most of my career. I don't think I became coachable. So I'm going to be 37 next month. I probably wasn't coachable till I was like 30, which is the most embarrassing thing to say, but it's just the truth. Like, my ego was way too big and I thought I was the best at everything. So to answer the question, I would learn like a tactic. You know what I mean? Like, sell with this one line. You know what I mean? Like, add merchandise this way, like tactical things. And then I'd be like, I'll try that. It seems reasonable. And then I would do it. And then I'd be like, cool, that person seems smarter than me. So I'd do like the next tactic. But it wasn't until like I actually adopted a model until I became a Gym Launch client. And the gym launch client, like that journey was like, this is the model that actually you need to layer on top of your business, and it's A to Z. So it was tactics first and then model second, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So what was the best tactic then? Like what was the one that was like this is the one that really like got the ball rolling?
There's a lot.
You
Probably
can
the
talk.
most impactful one was understanding that selling a defined end program first at my gym, like a 6 week challenge for a higher price point, and then rolling into continuity made the most sense. So every gym does the opposite, which is like join for 30 days free or 2 weeks free, and then they roll into their $125 a month unlimited thing. This has no profit. This was sell a 6 week challenge for $600, short term, right? Defined end, results based transformation, and then on the back end drop them down to $49 a week, which is half price from what they started. So the flip model of like pricing and how to sell on the front end, that was probably the biggest tactical thing that I learned early
Hmm.
on, because now we're acquiring clients for a profit as opposed to like hoping they stay 3 months in to get the first dollar of profit, or most gyms do.
Mm.
Isn't it harder to sell people with like a bigger like upfront cost, or do they feel like
No.
you might have the secret sauce and that's why they want to do that particular thing?
Yeah, it's a great question. People, in my experience, not afraid of the price; they're afraid of the commitment.
Mm.
So signing up for a 12-month agreement when they have no experience, whether you're good or not, or that you can get results or not, that's the hard thing. But it's like 6 weeks, which is this like magical window of like people believe they can do something for 6 weeks, right? And actually see results in 6 weeks. They're like, all right, well, 6 weeks, let me test this guy out. And they're happy to pay a premium for that because they're not locked into a long-term commitment.
Hmm. Psychology, man. It's
Yeah.
it's funny because in talking with Mike Krausen a little bit more, he talked about like most people die off at like week 3. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you get them back to like stay committed on the second half, or how do you
Oh,
get them to do that thing? Yeah.
you convert them at week 3.
Mm.
That's the secret.
Ah, gotcha. They've
Yeah.
drank the Kool-Aid. They're seeing the positive action, and you're like, hey, let's have this conversation about like what we can offer you now, and
Yeah.
you kind of get them into that system, like you said, and it's 50% quote 50% off more or less.
Yeah, and honestly, like the real answer is your product has to be exceptional. That's the real answer. Like
Mm.
sales and marketing and tactics are
Yeah, man.
phenomenal,
So
but if their
many.
product sucks,
That's why that conversation happens there. That's why he was saying that. Okay, that makes
yeah.
complete sense. And I guess it's just different being, what I've done for so long versus, um, maybe being at the helm and making those decisions and watching, the people that were above me make those decisions or not tell me that those were the decisions being made. But I think it opens up a new lens, and it's a little bit different when like it's all on you, right? Like you're like, I
Mhm,
fell into this gym space, and now I got
mhm,
to figure it the hell out. So,
mhm.
mm. the okay. And it's also funny that you mentioned week 3, that like for most people, if they're doing what you've told them they need to do by week 3 is really where again, non-scale victories occur, or weights drop a pretty good amount, and or their strength or
Mhm.
their energy, all those things really start to be like a cat, like, like that's where like the catalyst then happens and they're really bought in. So I've seen that time after time after time with people that
Yeah,
are getting coached up correctly. Um,
totally.
but yeah, then I've never had that conversation with people. It's like, hey, are we gonna continue this? But I think Seamus might be better at that than me. I never really sold people on uh, like again a challenge or anything like that. It's just been more of that kind of connection based model from day one. But
Mhm.
again, I don't have any overhead with what I've done for however many years, um, and I guess it puts like a different pressure on you when you do have things that, again, got to keep the lights on, got to keep people coming in and out. How is this going to work?
Yeah. Well, and also like back to the psychology part of it. In my opinion, the only way to build a really big business is to do what's right for the client and what's right for the business. And if you can find the intersection, like you win. So one of our biggest expressions is like the more people pay, the more they pay attention. So if you have a client that pays you $25,000 for a transformation program, right? Like one on one, like all the bells and whistles, the private plane of transformation programs, they're going to get more results, especially if that money is a lot to them. If they're a billionaire, maybe not. But like the more relative the price is to their income, the more important it is to them. So it's actually more of an ethical thing to get more money from them. And then the more money you receive from them, the more serious you take it too. If someone pays you $20 for a trial, you're like, yeah. Someone pays you $1,000 for a 6-week program, you're like, I got to deliver. I just took this person's hard-earned money. So like the more that's invested on both sides, in dollars, both sides are invested. So in my experience, you get better results both ways.
I'm finding that too. You know, price hikes, if you will, or adjusting the cost of service over time to with the new influx of people, and it's like you get better and quicker results, and you can sell them on
Mm-hmm.
a little more short term goal. They get the goal,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, now what? And they look to you as if like, again, you know better and you've seen it before, which you have, and you move on to the next thing. And
Yeah.
a lot of the times you have something that you sold them again, selling to the goal of 3 months, and this is where you'll be. Then turns into a year down the road, and they're like, damn, I'm back to where I was, 10 years ago. Never thought this would be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting thought there, but like, okay, so that was that business. That was like, transformation that way. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've transitioned into Prestige Labs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Formulary based, thing, and you have products that are, targeting certain end goals. As I've seen it, I have not actually used any of your products, but Seamus has run me through it and given me the sales pitch. So, I mean, it's a different sale though, isn't it? Or is it the exact same thing?
Well, I mean, my career owning gyms was a B2C business, so this is a B2B2C business, right? So we are helping gym owners do the things that I did in the gym, right? So Prestige Labs is an affiliate model for originally just for gym launch, but then we expanded to every other gym company. So if you own a gym, you know that your client's going to buy supplements. They should buy things that work, and you should probably get paid for that thing because you did all the work to get them in the first place. So the coach will sit down with them on the nutrition orientation, go through a scripted choreography that we've helped build, and then make recommendations based on their goals. And then they place the orders, and then the gym owner gets commissions on it. So my conversations now are B2B conversations. I'm not talking to the end user, but I'm helping the gym owner, the other business owner, frame the conversations for their customers. So that's been the transition of like my day to day. It's all the same stuff though. Like
Yeah.
so like whatever business it is, we're talking about people. And it's like, are you connecting with people? Are you providing value? Are you making it simple? Is it an irresistible offer? Like it's all the same stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah. I've actually told this to my wife because she does hair for a living now.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why not offer something different? She's like, well, everybody says not to do that. And I was like, or maybe they're just afraid that they're not providing the service to the level that every client's going to be a raving fan after they get their
Mhm.
hair done. Like
Mhm.
I feel like that I'd have tremendous value as a male, get, again, like paying that premium. We'll say it's like, for that like super premium product, it's like $350 for, sitting in the chair for however many hours. I was
Mhm.
like, why not just send a follow-up message to them? She's like, well, every time I do it, I get bad review. I was like, well, like not that it's a bad review, it's just maybe not what they expected, which is really hard to do, especially as you're doing hair to transform them from one color to another, right?
Mhm.
Nothing takes as perfectly. Everybody's hair color is a little bit different. The way the formulation goes, it's not a one-time fix-all thing. But to me, I'm like, if you show that client that you are so invested in them after the first time they've sat in your chair that you want to right their wrong, and if they come back in for a touch-up appointment, which is far cheaper, you've now, in my eyes, extended the value add that you have because you've cared more than every other hairdresser out there.
Mhm.
And it's like a limiting self-belief, like, well, like then it requires more work. It's like you don't not get paid till then. You've already done the first thing and they loved it the day of, but color fades, things change. And to me, I'm
Mhm.
like, that's an easy way of you potentially having another, again, $100 appointment that could
Mhm.
be so worth it because no one else has done that before, right? But she's like, I don't know, I don't think I'll ever do that. I was like, well, maybe I can change your mind over time because you're selling people, you're selling a service to people, right? And
Mhm.
you're sending an end result. And the quicker you get it to there, the longer they stay.
Yeah, it's interesting. So small business owners are small because they think small, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the easiest examples I can give with that is that one bad interaction with one client, you take that as data for the industry, or you take
Mm-hmm.
that as data for your entire market. And it's like, and I always tell people, I go, you don't have enough data to make a decision yet. I give you an example from like my day to day. Hey, the supplement sale thing doesn't work. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, tell me why. They're like, well, we tried it and like it didn't work. I'm like, cool, do you have numbers around that? And they're like, well, we had the first person came in and they were really upset that they just paid for the challenge and now we're asking them for more money. And I go, how many meetings? They go, one. And I go, got it. I go, is it more reasonable that you have not done enough meetings to develop this skill, or that the 5,000 other gyms that do this are wrong? I'm like, which one's more reasonable? But it's just that emotional reaction of like anybody rejecting you or saying that you're like whatever it is, and then you make a decision that on that one person's opinion that this is the wrong thing, when there's a pile of evidence that shows the opposite, right? So I'm always coaching like, is it emotion or is it evidence? Like that's my biggest thing, my lens. Like, is this an emotional reaction or is there evidence that it's true? Because every emotion is not like backed with evidence. It's an emotion, right? So we got to be really careful on like how we react to those things. And so it sounds like your wife had that situation, which every small business owner has.
Yeah, data being greater than your feelings. It's like, it's just
Yeah.
the way. I mean, there's a reason why it's on a shirt for so many people, right? Like, it's the reality of it. But yeah, again, it's new. This is new to her. She's literally 4 months into it.
Oh,
So
yes. No data. Zero data.
yeah,
Like
there's no
literally
data.
zero. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, well, like yeah. I'm like, babe, like this is where you should listen to not necessarily that anecdotal experience, but like creating more of your own data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes your anecdote, whereas everybody else did it that way, and you've seen their work or whatever, and you've maybe said like maybe it's not up to the par of what that person wants, right?
Yeah.
When but like you just said too, like don't let one interaction sour something that is working relatively well overall. I had one of
Mm-hmm.
those interactions this week with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
happened because I tagged a gym, and it led to this 40-minute call later that literally, I mean, like it's been eating at me for like a day and a half. I'm like, what did I do wrong? All I did was tag your gym. Like again, like
Mm-hmm.
you can choose what to do with it. You can delete your tag on it. That was me asking to see like, is there a value exchange here that we might have? And it was the first text I get from the guy was, "While I appreciate your stuff and your content, don't tag my gym." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like what am I doing? I'm not selling anything. He's like, well, you have a podcast, you have a this, you have a that. You're looking for an end game or an angle. I'm like, maybe I wanted a conversation with you. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
want to see what you're offering and if there's something that's mutually beneficial for us. Um, but I mean that again, I'm not going to not continue to tag gyms in my area simply because that one person said don't tag me anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like again,
Yeah.
he's like, well, that's not how tagging works, and I was like, tagging goes into a part of the feed that most people never check, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably for you, right? Um, I know I've never checked it. I surveyed 10 other people. They'd never go to that part of that Instagram page anyways, right? He's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, then it gets you like an influence into the audience. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the algorithm doesn't work that way, but you
Mm-hmm.
can believe what you want. But so yeah, I mean, will that relationship potentially be mended? I don't know, right? Maybe in due time, maybe they'll be open to it, but nonetheless, I'll continue doing what I feel is helping me right now, right? Like helping me be able to deliver the message and again, not really be salesy, but just try to inspire more people to get their shit together. So
I agree fully.
Oh man, what a great, kind of thing. A lot of that stuff that Ed was talking about there, Marco, is kind of like just the day-to-day data. Once I realized, like, first off, I was afraid of more sales or
Mm-hmm.
conversations, I guess, because I was a personal trainer on the floor, and Ed knew that. And I remember, like, at 6 a.m., because it was 6 a.m. my time, I think 9 a.m. his time, we would do like these daily lines, then going over freaking game day feedback, and he's just watching my videos, he's watching other people's videos, and he's like, you see that there, or you didn't pause there, or hey, you want to do this? Man, you have to like not take anything personally, right? And but it was data. Over time, you get to a point where you're just doing these calls back to back to back to back, and it's every single day, and you have like, I don't know, for Ed to look at 30 videos, right? And he can just kind of review. And at some point, it's not even a script. It's kind of like you.
mm,
And
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful thing about that was you had the script, but then it became conversations with people. And then it became actually about serving that person. Because, yeah, sure, they paid the 6 week thing. Now they're going to pay this other thing. And you know what really it is when you realize it is no. This is to serve you because I know you're going to be bought in completely now. You've got locked in
Mm-hmm.
with the program for 6 weeks. You've just had your conversation with me as your coach. We're going to get you on this stack. And now over the 6 weeks, we're going to lock in everything with your habits. You're going to take this in the
Mm-hmm.
morning, you take this at night, you're going to take this before you sleep. How
Mm-hmm.
much more do you think you're going to be bought in for the next 6 weeks? And it's
Yep.
it's just this crazy thing. So
Well, I'll give you guys some data from this morning. I just had a call with two of our top affiliates. They, on average, do $7,500 a month in supplement sales, like on our site, and then like another $3,000 to $4,000 in house. So like they're breaking $10,000 a month in subs, whereas they only have probably 100-ish clients at their gym. So like this is not a big gym, boutique style, large group training. And now they're at the level where the gym owners no longer do the sales, but like their managers do the sales. Like they're at that next phase of the game. And I said, what's the manager's stat? And so I'll give you the one gym stat. She closed 85% of people on supplements, right? So 15% didn't buy. And I said, okay, that's great stats. I go, it should be 100, jokingly, right? Because everybody should buy, right? Because it's in the same close. And I go, do you have the breakout of the people that bought versus didn't buy? And he goes, yep, we track everything because like we track all our data. And I go, cool, real fast. How many people over the last couple months didn't buy? And I think it was 15 people. And I go, how many of them converted to a long-term membership? And he's like, hold on. He goes, 2. And I go, interesting. I go, the other cohort, how many of them converted? He's like, above 90%. And I was like, got it. This group, how many hit their goal? He's like, almost no one. That's why they didn't stay. And I go, got it. And I go, it's not because the supplements are magic. We all know that nutritional changes take time, right? You're not really going to get the full effect of a product for like 60 days of being consistent. Plus, you got to get your macros right. Plus, you got to train. You need all of it. Like, there's no magic pill. But the difference is, at that onboarding meeting, you made that client more coachable. And if they are coachable and they take the first recommendation of this is part of the program, they will then take the next recommendation of get your steps in, put the ice cream down, let's add weight to the bar. Like the person that is not coachable in the onboarding meeting, it is my opinion that you should actually fight that objection head on at that meeting, because it's not about making the sale. It's about making them coachable. And if they're like, I don't think I'm going to take your first recommendation, they're not going to take the rest of them. So you have to have some type of a head on overcome objection thing. You might as well do it in the beginning. And for me, if 1 out of 50 times that results in, listen, this isn't a good fit, I'll refund the money for the challenge, no big deal, to save my team the headache, I'd rather do that. Because we're not selling everybody. Like 10% will never buy, 10% aren't coachable, but the 80% we fight for. So if you fight for that 80%, you win. And all of our gyms that like do that fight, so to speak, like for the good of the client, those are the best success stories. You know, the ones that didn't believe and then they believed.
yeah, no, seriously, 100%. I really, saw that over the last few years. And when you can actually, I remember going through like all the objection frameworks with you, and I was like, I don't know what to say here. What do I do, Ed? Or like, we kind of went through like game day, and I was like waiting for the objection at some point. I was like, come on,
Yeah.
let's get through this, like, because I want to, I want to get through this objection and see what the real issue is. I think you always said this is a smoke screen. This is just they say no or they just say something that's a smoke screen, and then you kind of get into it, and you're like, well, do you really think this is worth it to you? And they're like, yeah, well, like, what's the real issue? And then they start actually showing you the real issue, and then you can just talk about it there. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is, but that vulnerability of talking about it there and asking the right questions, yeah, they become more coachable, right?
Yeah. Coaches ask hard questions. That's the job of the coach. If they didn't need someone to ask them hard questions and challenge their beliefs and shift their identity, they'd go to fucking Planet Fitness, and they don't need you. You're not needed. Like you have to do the hard conversations. That's the job. That's what you get paid for. Right? Like that's what we're getting paid for. You pay attention. That's why it's called paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you brought up that point about like refunding the money of those, say, 15 people right out the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Is the gym better for it long term, or
I
because those people?
believe so. I
Yeah.
believe so.
I mean, so why didn't they fire them? Why didn't they give them the refund there? What kept them
Well,
around?
the one gym that I was just discussing, he actually does. If he does the sales meeting and he thinks this is going to be a toxic fit, he goes probably 1 out of 50. He goes, he just doesn't even pitch. I'll give you an example. So I've met with over 2,500 gym owners in the last 2.5 years. I did the math recently, And I did, I think 12 or 13 like introduction calls this week, right? They're mostly from the gym launch side. So like they sign up for gym launch and then Prestige is like their handshake over. Um, Two, I didn't even pitch. I was like, they're gonna be so much trouble for my team. I don't even want to. I'm just not gonna send them. Like
Yeah.
one was just a really bad avatar. Like we can work with online people for sure. Like we have a lot of online guys that crush it, but it's really a brick and mortar business model for the most part. It can be retrofitted for sure, but like this guy was starting out online, and I'm like, he's got no clients. He's got the biggest ego I've ever seen. Not gonna work with it. Like I just didn't even bother. Right? I was like, here's a training course if you want to watch it, but like I didn't go for the clothes, right? To like buy a bunch of stuff for yourself. So you do it once in a while and like you protect your team and then you instantly feel less anxious because you in the back of your mind you signed up that one client, you're like, I don't want to fucking deal with Julie. Like you just know that Julie was a bad person to sign up, but you did it anyway. And so I used to tell my team, I'm like, we're not hookers. We won't just take money from anybody that walks up to us on the street. Like we have to have a higher standard for ourselves. And you don't use it as a crutch to not close hard because you still have to close hard. But like once in a while, if you're like, this is toxic, I'm out. And your team appreciates it, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That turning down business though for again, so most of these people, I mean, if of those 2,500, what would you classify as small business versus like medium at that point or large?
I think the definition is actually under 500 employees, I think. So
Which is
like we're
basically
all
every
small
gym.
businesses.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
with your, not the literal definition, like in your
Yeah.
eyes, like boutique versus like small business then. Like you mentioned, the boutique where it's like 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So I think if I had to like redefine it, a small business, the way most of us think about it, like a brick and mortar, like in-person small business, I think only has the capacity to grow to a level that could feed one or two people, like as owners,
Mm.
I mean. So like here, I'll give you a great mistake that most gym owners make. They take on partners, and I'm like, this isn't a big enough business for a partner. It doesn't usually make a lot of sense. Like if you can make $200,000 in profit from a brick and mortar gym, you're in the 1%. You're in the 1%. It's like, why would you want to make 100? It doesn't make any sense. Like you can hire managers and staff and everything else. So I think the capacity, the earning capacity for one or two individuals, I think like a married couple, if they can take home 200, 250 with a brick and mortar gym that they still work in, by the way, like they're not absentee, they can do that. They're crushing it. But that's the opportunity vehicle. The opportunity vehicle to me is like, that's kind of the cap. And then medium would be like, you could make probably seven figures. And then obviously big businesses would be big businesses.
Multiple seven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shoot, a small business having, upwards of $250,000 in revenue or in profit, you're saying. So like that's after expenses, like that's a lot of take home
Yeah.
pay for an owner.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic life,
Yeah.
Um,
It's rare. But it's actually very simple to do. It's just most people don't do the things that are necessary to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
what do people need to do more of to get there?
They need to stop identifying as a trainer, stop identifying as a gym owner, and start identifying as a business owner. Comma, it's a fitness, nutrition, and accountability company. So I'll tell you this: the way that we went from 400 grand a year at my kickboxing gym to 1.2 million in 12 months had nothing to do with tactics. It had to do with one belief. We believed we were a gym, meaning we sold fitness. And the moment I stopped believing that, and I started believing we were a coaching company, that we sell fitness, nutrition, accountability wrapped together to get results, everything changed. Because we asked better questions to each other. We focused on more important things. We focused on client experience and results and documenting those results and sharing those and better pricing models and all the things, right? Supplements. But a gym is not going to, a boutique gym is not going to make that kind of profit because fitness is commoditized. I can go to any gym and do a big boot camp workout class. Now, one-on-one training is different and customization is different, but like we're talking about Julie that just needs to go lose weight. Like she goes to a boutique gym, whether it's CrossFit, kickboxing, Orange Theory, whatever, it's relatively the same experience.
Mm-hmm. That's what I tell, that's what I tell with my online clientele is like, look, like this is not a fitness company. This is not a fitness and nutrition thing. We're not a supplement company. We're a coaching company. Like I'm here to coach you to get you the absolute best results so that whatever it is you're working through, we change your self-image, we change your confidence, we change your self-esteem so that, yeah, your fitness, your nutrition, and everything aligns, but I'm going to be
Mhm.
the coach that holds you accountable to that. And I think when people understand that concept,
Mhm.
they get better results.
Yeah. I'll give you a good one for accountability and driving it home in the sales process. A buddy of mine who used to be a Jim Lawrence client too, he came up with this when we were like really selling accountability as like a bolt on. He was like, "Hey, Julie, you know when you were like a little kid and your mom made you brush your teeth every night?" And it's like, "Yeah, cool. You didn't want to do it, did you?" "No, but like she made you do it." "Got it. Do you brush your teeth every night now as an adult?" "Well, yeah, of course." It's like, right. Your mom was your first coach. She made you do the things you didn't want to do, even though you like fought and had like a little temper tantrum. So you can have all the temper tantrums you want. I'm still going to make you do these things. But the goal is not for me to be your accountability coach forever. The goal is to
Mm-hmm.
instill these skills and habits so you don't need me. And selling it as I'm going to do this thing and teach you so you don't need me later on, then you can sell whatever price point you want. Because it's not a forever thing, it's like a short term thing. And people really like that.
Yeah, I've been doing that accidentally for years. Um,
Yeah, that's great.
but, I, but so you okay? So when you switch that mindset from the identity of like the coach or you existing in the $400,000 range, right, to get to
Yeah.
the 3x growth there,
Hmm.
what changed for you? Like, what hats did you position for yourself during that time? Because obviously all the other action steps you were doing may have taken you away from actually being like head coach, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
so what changed there?
I stepped off the mat forever. I
Hmm.
told my team I will never run a session ever again. And I said, here's why. I go, I need to be the person that drives the strategy and the vision of the company. And this is what the vision is. And I really painted that really clearly. And I said, and I've been doing all of you a disservice because I've been micromanaging you. I go, I've not been trusting you guys enough to actually go fulfill on the promises that we sold these clients. I go, and I had an all female gym and all female team. And I go, it's hilarious that I'm the person on the mat. I go, why the hell am I on the mat? I go, these women don't connect with me, they connect with you. I go, and you have better stories because I used to only basically hire clients that got results. I think it's the best person to hire as a coach because they're brought in. So I stepped up the mat and then I went all in on data. I became obsessive about the numbers for the business and I looked at them every single day and I started to be transparent with sharing them with every single person on the team. Every single person knew where we were at in terms of revenue, profit, expenses. They knew every single dollar allocation. They knew what I took home. They knew what the tax, they knew everything. We shared everything because I don't like that feeling of secrecy. Because there might be 200 clients in the gym, but you're broke. But the trainer thinks you're rich. You got to tell
Yeah,
the truth. You got to show them.
yeah. You want to see? Yeah, I love that because I so align with that, and that full transparency of in and out is a really tough nut to crack for so many people because you
Yeah.
don't want to be deemed or be seen as a failure because like, oh well, I thought we were making all this, and like you just
Mm-hmm.
said, you're basically developing resentment from your staff as a result of what they think, and then you show them like, hey, like you think I'm choosing to drive this car or I'm choosing to do
Mm-hmm.
these things or choosing, you know what I mean, like choosing to eat this way, like no, this is like the necessity that's required given the goals that I have for all of you and transparency, much like supplementation at this point in time too. Like I think it really freaking matters because you can speak to everything that's going on, like whether it's in the supplement product
Mm-hmm.
or additionally in a business. Like those things is one of the main like key takeaways I've found out in the last year doing business for myself, going into business for myself versus just being a coach. And now wanting to again step away from that and do I guess like the acquisition, right? Being
Mm-hmm.
more like bootstrapped and going and having those conversations to people because I don't have a brick and mortar business, right? Is something that I'm like, oh well, now I have to trust somebody else. What if they can't do again? Like I have the same problem when I tutor math. It's like, yeah, that would be cool to teach people how to do math better, right? But like getting a team to do it, not feasible because they're not me, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's again like that's like transitioning to like a managerial role or something else, like managing people
Yeah.
and taking their needs into consideration, not just your own.
Can I ask a crazy question? And
Hmm.
you can edit this out if you want. Would it be valuable? Because I know nothing about your business, but I'm
Yep.
curious because you're a really interesting guy. Would it be valuable if like I did a 5 minute analysis of what you guys do and then like how I would view it and like make, maybe like help it scale and grow? Like, would that be a framework that would help the audience, do you think?
Yeah,
Is
let's do it.
is is scaling like the main? I'm trying to think
It's
about value for the audience. Like, what
Yes.
is
yeah,
the main thing? Is it scaling?
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think
Okay.
again, as we try to grow this thing, there's scalability to it, and people are like, oh, how do those things happen, right? And then
Yeah.
yeah, it's like yeah, we talked to a bunch of really interesting people that gave us feedback, and we went and effing applied it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So just walk me through like what's the elevator pitch of your business? What do you guys do?
Oh well, we both have separate entities as of right now.
So let's do Marco because I know more about Seamus. Let's do you.
Okay. I have a nutrition coaching company that
Okay.
helps ex athletes, quote X, people redefining their athletic endeavors, generally in CrossFit space, and
Mhm.
getting them to perform at a high level and look good while doing it.
Got it. So this is mostly like moms and dads that like were athletes and they want to get back into it. They've lost their
Hmm.
mojo.
They've
Okay.
lost that athlete identity and they're trying to redefine it.
Okay. So we're talking like 30 to 50 is the demo, man and women.
Yep, men and women, 30 to 50, having athletic pursuits.
Okay. And how do you acquire new clients? What's the lead acquisition?
I go into gyms and do nutrition seminars.
Okay. So you call up a gym. You're like,
Mhm.
hey, I do this thing. It'll be a value add to your clients. Is it free for the gym or do they pay for it?
I charge for the actual seminar. Very, very inexpensive. I feed everybody that goes to it, so they're more bought in and invested in learning how to actually eat food.
Yeah.
And then I take the proceeds and I use it to go do this as a nonprofit ad to help give kids the same education. I actually did one yesterday, fed over 50 students, giving a very similar, topic conversation.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So you're doing good. So the charity angle gets you in the gym probably easily. And then you're
Mhm.
actually using the money to help kids, which is phenomenal. We're actually doing a fundraiser like that too.
Mhm.
Okay, so like you're at the gym, you pitch all of the clients at the end of this thing to work with you.
I pitch them to go into a challenge,
Okay,
right? Because, like you just said, people will want to see short-term payoff, and they're more willing to do that. But I also cross-sell with one-to-one at the same time.
totally. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen this work before. Okay, and what's the price point that you pitch?
Um, when it was 6 weeks, it's 300 because that's the cross list to month of service for me. But
Okay.
if it's 4 weeks, it's so 200.
Okay, and so they maintain their gym membership. You're just giving them the nutrition and the accountability, or you also giving them programming on top of their workouts at the gym?
I don't, I actually don't do any programming, if you believe it or not.
No, I wouldn't because
Yeah.
because they're already doing the thing. So like doing that would just be extra work that you don't need to get paid on. Okay, so 300 for 6 weeks, and then do you roll them into a continuity program forever?
Month to month, yeah. Just wherever until they actually hit their next goal after getting bought in.
Great. And then what's that price point to continue after the 6 weeks?
Same, doesn't change.
Got it. So it's just whatever that comes out to be. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. And right now, how many recurring clients are there in the business?
32.
Great. And is the biggest bottleneck, I would imagine, getting more gyms each month to allow you to come in here and do it? Is that like the biggest constraint that you feel?
Time.
Yeah. Okay.
It's time. Time's the biggest constraint. I have another full-time job.
Oh wow, even more impressive.
Hmm.
Is the goal to exit the full time job and just do this?
That's where it's interesting because that other job has things that I learned that then are very applicable to for management systems that I didn't know could exist. So
Hmm.
I would say potentially, but also changing my role from being a health coach in that job to being one that's a facilitator for other health coaches.
Hmm. Okay. So what's the full time job? What's the
We're performance health coaches for a company known as Synergenics, and
okay?
so nutrition, lifestyle, all those things, and I basically just piggyback on the nutrition and lifestyle stuff and focus on that, and then that's where I actually would have to write some programming, but it's again
Yeah.
not as difficult because it's
That's
usually
the
two or three
nine to
day split.
five.
The nine
That's
to
the nine to
five,
five.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's what I love about this model. It is free for you to acquire clients.
hmm
Okay. So Prestige Labs is a free to acquire clients too. So we get paid on the acquisition and it's 100% other than our time to actually execute. So like it costs us payroll because we have coaches and stuff. How long have you been doing this thing? This side hustle thing?
Well, so I worked for other companies like Jason Phillips and
Yeah,
another person. Yeah.
I figured because this is Jason's kind of blueprint.
Well, it
Exact
was,
blueprint.
yeah. And I'm like, well, COVID changed everything. No one's doing this anymore. So why not me? So I decided just to start doing this as of last year when I exited the other company that I worked for because he was the one doing all the acquisition, but then also making me do social media in the lens that it took away from me health coaching, right? Actually getting clients results, which is like, was then like, you're not getting enough results. And I'm like, well, I'm spending so much time on this other shit and I'm giving you 50%. And it just led
Hmm.
to, I was like, well, I gave you 80 clients when you first started. Where are all their
Hmm.
transformations? I'm like, maybe I grew too fast because, you thought that, there was promises there that didn't come to fruition. Right.
Hmm.
So in the
So
last year, yeah,
so a yearish. So
yeah,
how many of the nutrition seminars have you done at gyms?
total, I've done
Yeah.
two. And two has been enough to then get referrals from those existing people, and everyone's kind of drinking the Kool-Aid together, and
Yep.
they want to do what their friends are doing, and it
Are
spreads.
you do you rev share with the gym or they get nothing?
So I lucked out on the first one because they had nothing there. That gym has a very unique thing where they're a back end operation of another existing corporation that
Got it.
pays for the building. So it's just that business is all for profit. And the manager is like, I don't want to have extra things on my plate. You can have free
Yeah.
access to these members, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many gyms did you have to speak to before you got the two to say yes?
You know what? I've only really tried with two people, and then the third one was the one that had that kind of animosity built up. Right, where I was like, I was hoping to try to like have that and again do more of a rev sharing thing and figure that out because I felt like that would be a great opportunity for growth. But so there's, I'm 2 for 3, more or
Okay.
less.
Phenomenal, by the way. Okay, so 32 EFT. So two gyms have created 32 EFTs. Do you happen to know how many people bought the 6 week challenge thing first, like the challenge money?
Yeah, so I had the first one I did. I actually had 16 people sign up, four of which did the cross listing thing, and I was just
Yeah.
not. And it was the first one I did, and I didn't have like a sales pitch at the end, even though half of those people had a pretty good transformation in 6 weeks. Right, I didn't have enough of the systems of like follow up, right? And that's what
Yeah.
I have to make my take my L's, where I can and learn from it. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if I just look at the math right now, every time you do a pitch at a gym, you add $3,200 in recurring revenue to your business.
I'm
That's the
gonna have to
math
look.
to me. So, I mean, 32 clients, $200 a month, right? So
Yeah.
every time you've done two, so you got $6,400 in recurring revenue ish, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cool.
ish.
So every time you do a launch, so to speak, you add $3,200 to your recurring revenue. Sounds like you got the fulfillment dialed in.
Yeah,
Sounds like you
yeah,
got
yeah.
the fulfillment thing, and you're getting referrals. So like maybe you don't get them all at once, but like you're getting referrals from the people. So that means the product is great, awesome. So the constraint of the business is doing more of these launches.
Hmm.
How big do you want to make this thing? Because I don't want to solve a problem that's not needed to be solved.
Oof. Um, yeah, I mean, that's where I feel like I need other people to fulfill the product, right, or the service, and that's where the bottleneck is right now. Hence,
You feel like you
me
don't have
joining this.
time already? You already don't have time
No,
to
no,
fulfill the
I
32
do.
people?
No, I
Okay,
do.
what's
I
your
have
cap? How many can you
50,
fulfill at this?
50.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so it's like, how fast can you get to that point, right?
Uh,
Like, all you have to, it's just inputs, outputs, right? So it's like,
yeah.
if you reach out to 20 gyms in the next month, it's reasonable that you'll do another 5 of these.
Hmm.
And that's $15,000 more in revenue, like
Yeah.
recurring revenue, not including the profit you make on the front end that you're not sharing with the gym owner, which is amazing,
Hmm.
right? So it's like, and the moment, here's why I say this: cash flow solves problems because you
Yeah.
can hire the next superstar and you can train the next person. So like, other than the 9 to 5 thing, what do you feel is stopping you from just doing more reach outs to gyms? Because like, I think this is a great model. You're making content to have awareness. The pitch to the gym is like, I want to help your clients more. They probably should get some kind of split on the first thing because it doesn't cost you
For
anything.
sure. Yeah.
And then the back end money is all you. Like it's such a good model. And then you can just refer to the gyms and probably make it an affiliate thing of like, I will send people to your gym if I get them. You know what I mean? Like whoever's gym is closer, you just get it. Affiliate
Mm-hmm.
access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My hiccup is, like I said, it's time because of the 9 to 5, obviously. Can't get rid of that because, my wife's stepping into her own career and she needs purpose. And there's 2 kids. So that ends up being, again, where solving certain things requires, like you just said, you need more of the money, you need more time. You got to just like go bite the bullet and do it. But also having that next person up, like ready to go. I think that's like, if I knew wholeheartedly we had that other person, that would be it, right? Let's go do this thing. But yeah.
Operations have to keep up with sales and marketing. That's the mistake that a lot of people make. Like you got to drive, you got to be the rainmaker. And like the reason I'm pushing this so hard is because most people lose money when they acquire clients. You are getting paid to acquire clients. And you're not even like putting money into like paid marketing and then getting a return. You're getting it for free. Like this is a free acquisition channel. I would squeeze the shit out of this.
Yeah. And actually I lied though. I actually had another gym that turned me down because I needed to be more bought in, as in like kind of, they were trying to sell off their new like nutrition thing. And I just didn't have the money to acquire that essentially, and then kind of oversee it with the coaches that would exist there. So that was just another, situation of the time.
Yeah.
I think this is a good lesson for everybody. Like just find the constraint of the business and then just solve that thing first. This is what I do all day long. I'm just like, what is the constraint, and then just solve it.
I think that 5 minutes is going to open a lot of doors for Marcos and I. More conversations.
No, yeah, like I'm sure Seamus has taken notes because we've been discussing this and why we want to move into like one thing. And again, like it's not about, it's like, yeah, one thing, and doing it again, like where everybody fills those necessary roles, right? Like Seamus is probably a lot more seasoned in sales than I am, and he likes that thing. So boom, right? Like that's what he wants to focus on. I like being, I guess, quote, the figurehead. I really enjoy like talking to people and, using that like energy exchange to help with the next thing. And then, having that other person that facilitates, whether it's like in a group to start and then one-to-one and then all those things. And yeah, so I think in the starting of this venture, it actually opened up those channels and conversations, whereas before it was kind of a scarcity mindset. Is there enough people out there to do it? Or would people be interested? And also, again, like losing that self-belief that like, hey, like everybody's identifying as an athlete, even if they're doing yoga or kickboxing or Taibo or whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah,
it's the same spiel.
Totally.
But then, yeah, like I know for certain the next gym will be a yoga studio, right? And reason being is that I started working. I gave away months of free service to the owner, and then she eventually started paying me. She's getting better results now that she's paying, going back to that thing, right? And then once she gets that transformation, everybody's like, what the hell have you been doing? Oh, he really just took the time and bought into me, right? And I want to bring him here, right?
Yeah.
So.
Or you could just send Seamus to go close everybody every weekend. Like, if we were
I don't have kids, partners, remember?
Yeah, exactly. If we were partners, I'd be like, how do we do a launch every weekend? That's it.
The goal.
I'd be like,
that's the goal.
Right. Yeah. And it's a simple formula. It's inputs and outputs. How many reach outs, how many calls, and you have the charity angle. You're like, every time a gym lets us do this, we then do this for kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
It is, Marcos.
And I think too is being able to fulfill on the kids and know what that looks like as well, what that needed to look like. And it's taken about this, this year of searching and refining it a little bit. That's made the difference, because the first seminar was to students, to a young group of kids. I didn't have anything prepared. It was like, what do I need to do? Then I went and prepared that thing. And every time it's iterating, right? And you find that flow. And now I really feel like the next thing is like, people keep asking me questions that are at that like impressionable age of like 18 or 20. And they're like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with my life. Marcos, what do you recommend? I was like, just open a business. They're like, what do I do? You just need it to exist for 2 years. It doesn't matter. Just let it exist so you can maybe get some funding when you're ready. And they're like, that just seems weird. And it's like, just trust me. Like, I didn't have it. And I'm having a hard time right now. I have to wait, to get some extra capital to, like, again, free some time up for myself.
Mhm.
Cool. And the next thing I realized too, people go into college, they have no skills whatsoever. Like, you know what I mean? They don't have anything that they view as a skill. And I was like, you have some skills. It's like, well, I'm good at being told what to do. I was like, that's not really a skill. Like, how do we create a skill? And I'm like, oh, in the nonprofit, as we get things funded, I'm going to give people nutrition coaching. They're going to in the scholarship, I'm going to pay for PNL1, right? So they can have this knowledge base, which will really be an asset to them, again, lifelong, right? They learn these fundamental principles of nutrition. Again, they start understanding things. And then in college, they can charge $30 a month with somebody they're working with because they have a credential. Whoa, boom. Next thing is, like, in that scholarship, I also want to give them some money to go to the higher education, right? I understand that, like, that's the main reason for a scholarship. But again, now they're going to be able to earn on their own. They'll get some, again, mentorship, if you will. And they'll also be able to really go after something that they are probably passionate about, but they're a little bit undermined. And that, like, literally was part of conversation yesterday after doing the event. They're talking about wanting to give a CrossFit L1 to one of their students, whether it's a senior graduating or if it's somebody that's an alumni. And they're like, we're almost to that point where we can do that. And I was like, there's another angle. There's a great way of continuing to help people. And again, maybe have, again, an influence of people that will go up, start applying those things that would be super valuable, whether it's to me or to other people, but really to themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I hit whatever else you guys want to hit. I got 4 minutes till the top of the hour.
we're this is epic, but
That was
beautiful. Ed, do you have anything that you're excited for? Where can people follow you, just to be whereabouts of the time here?
When will this air?
probably in not next week, but the following one.
Okay, so it'll probably be too late, but if there's gym owners on the call, we're doing a charity play as well. It's slimdown28day.com, slimdown28day.com. We're working with Operation Underground Railroad, so all supplement sales for that challenge will be donated to Operation Underground Railroad. They rescue sexually trafficked kids all over the world, including the U.S. So if you're a gym owner and you want to be involved in that, go to that. It's like a free training on how to, like, run a challenge at your gym. Not to step on Marco's business, but we give it out for free. but the gym owner has to do it, right? So that's a different buy, right? Marco will do it for you, or you can do it for yourself. But yeah, and this is my name on all the social platforms, Ed Turney everywhere.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
it's not stepping on my toes. Like, this space is so
I
big.
know.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody just needs to make impact in their own community, right? There's saturation is the word that they give you.
$6 billion industry,
and then
saturated. Supplements, $80 billion industry, saturated.
Yeah. So no, we would love to support that. When is that launching? Maybe we can move this up to help support that.
June 26th is when the marketing starts for that. So the sooner that the gym owners get in their hands, the better.
We'll get it there.
We're there. We got you.
Cool. Yeah.
We want to be able to help causes, and that's really
Cool.
what we
Thanks,
align
man.
with it here. So
I appreciate it.
We appreciate your time, man, and I mean, thanks for the auditing, if you will. And
that's fun.
Again, you're right. Like, just go do more of that thing. See how many people you can start seeing the data actually, create, and then start seeing if it does lead, like you said, to a certain level of again, whatever that might look like in terms of, like, revenue. So I appreciate that, and I think other people, don't be afraid to get audited by people. Talk to people that have dealt with it themselves. It's where you grow. I mean, you have to be uncomfortable and have those uncomfortable conversations. Again, even if it's just with your, like, direct employer, like, hey, like, how do I add more value to the team? How do I make more money? It's like, you can't expect to just be doing the exact same thing and you just get paid more. That shit don't work. I learned that I've learned that in the last year, because as I'm growing this other thing, my role in the other company is growing, right? I'm growing as an individual. I have more to offer to the team, right? And that's where I think, again, that's the whole point of this podcast, right? Give that perspective, teach yourself, right? It's super important.
Awesome. I agree.
Thanks, Ed.
Good way to end. All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Talk soon.
Appreciate you. Have a good one. Bye. All right, everybody. That was our show with Ed Turney, and he was so gracious to give us an hour of his time. And Seamus, do you have any reflections? We got a few minutes, so
yeah, man. Guys, in the 3 to 4 years that I've been working with Ed, like, everything that he hit on the nail there, I honestly think barely scratched the surface. Even that 5 minute, that 5 minute thing with Marcos and I is not necessarily like even scratching the surface. I think Marcos and I are going to have a deeper conversation after this. I think off the camera, he and I are going to be on a call while we're on a walk, and we're going to start figuring out some things. And I think these are the issues that you need to figure out in your business, not just a gym, but in your business, in your life. Like, what are the questions I'm asking me and my partner and my team around me? How can I make them better? How can I see my identity? How can I shift? And when you have that shift, honestly, I think that's what made a lot of growth over the last 3 to 4 years with me, was the way Ed taught, the way he asked questions, the way he looked at things. And to be quite honest, at the time for me, it was the growth and how that impacted the bottom line for me financially. And it, like I told Marco, I was like, those questions, just a simple reframe, like just this in my head, 4x my life. And I'm just a normal guy. I was very like, much like the trainer, like, Ed was saying, and I'm like, this is who I am, this is who I am. And when I started getting out of that light and into more things, I realized, wow, there's so much more opportunity, so much more growth, and my life's better for it. So, if you can get out of your own head and just kind of start taking some of the mental frameworks from Ed and other people like that, you're honestly just going to grow yourself, your business, your life, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I think what I realized in this project in the last year, it's literally almost a year to the date where my back was up against the wall. I moved into a new home. It was basically a dream home. And then the dreams came crashing down. I felt pressure, feel a certain way. And, that it ended up being eustress. It wasn't distress. I'm not going to lie, because it made me realize I have to grow as a person. I have to be able to take on new challenges. Kind of use some of my mantras from previous years where it was like, again, grind or, kind of being the next man up mentality. And shoot, to this day, Seamus, I'll mention this. If I had the time, I got offered, and this is just how my mind works, I got offered a position to teach math again, virtually online for 2 hours, like 4 days a week. I would love nothing more, because, again, I love being able to, incorporate my actual degree and thing I'm actually really passionate about to kids. But again, these opportunities can continue to exist when you show up for yourself. Because during that time, I needed that extra money, and I figured it the fuck out. It was during COVID. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if my job with Synergenics would be safe. I didn't know anything. No one knew. So I did that. And that person continues to reach out to me. And again, now I have to now I feel obligated to find that next person that could replace me and go do that role, which is really cool. And, you know what I mean? And so opportunities come to those that seek it. Right. And we had Ed on. I know Seamus has a plug. I had this conversation with Rachel yesterday, actually, Seamus. Everybody has the same opportunity as everybody else. Like, again, it's a limiting self-belief to think that you can't be doing something like everybody else. Now, again, the road to get there might be a little more difficult, but you have to really look within and figure out what you need to do. When I was a college student and I couldn't actually afford a CrossFit membership, I traded services. I traded my time. I figured out a way to coach 2 days, at least however many classes a week, right? I went and got my L1. Right. Actually, that was my birthday present at 18 years old. Like, who the fuck was I? You know what I mean? And again, now going back to that conversation that I mentioned about the scholarship, I'll provide that opportunity to somebody. And I wish it happened sooner, before the end of the year, because the perfect time to gain this damn skill set of like health coaching and nutrition coaching is during summer when you're not doing shit. You're taking one class, one focus, while maybe doing a little bit of a side hustle to make some money before you go off to school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a service. Yeah.
And I think you and I are going to be able to provide this to at least one person first. Right. And then maybe it's by the end of it all, it's 10. Right. But after listening to so many podcasts and kind of hearing the exact same mission, the message that I have, it runs over and over in my head, is why not you?
Why not?
Me talking to myself in third person, right? Why not you? Why not? Right? What do you have to lose? What do you stand to gain? Like, again, what Ed did right there, again, when people are going to offer value exchange on something, we're going to take it right on the spot. Right.
We just got coached. We're coachable.
We just got coached because that's what this is all about. We're documenting this as a journey for ourselves. Realistically, selfishly, this is for us, right? If you guys choose to listen to this episode, great on you. If you got value from it, hey, great. If you're a gym owner and you're currently struggling and you're looking for extra opportunities for revenue, Prestige Labs is likely a good place to go because their margins for you is great and your clients are getting a top-notch supplement. When Seamus broke it all down to me and we went through, he literally gave me the sales pitch. I was like, give me the formulary. Boom. I was like, why was I not using this from fucking day one? Right?
Hey, Dr. Trevor Koshy, shout out to him. The man's a super smart guy. PhD in biochemistry at like 19.
Right? And again, like, I get it. Like, this industry can be shady at times. You can maybe feel like it doesn't align with you because you really just want to give people like that one product. But again, like, if the value exchange is there, and shoot, even if it's like something of a placebo effect, you take something that's a sleep aid, you may or may not get benefit from it, but you're getting perceived benefit, then it's working, right? And you want to take it out and then reformulate those things. There's a reason why the cost is where it's at. It's really hard to do each individual ingredient that way, right?
Yeah.
And again, just why not you take ownership of yourself, and also feel obligated to do it with others, right?
I think that's the thing. I think, the one thing I would say outside of this, like what I've learned from the macro perspective and like kind of our relationship and just kind of like a lot about my life is you really have to know, this goes back to exactly what Ed said. You really have to know who you are in your life and in your business and how you drive your life. And I'm starting to learn that I've been a great coach. I've been a great personal trainer on the floor. I've been all these things, which is super cool. And I'm getting all these, qualifications for it. And, what I'm seeing is Marcos is more that visionary. He's really leading the boat in that sense. Maybe, I'm in this role, like talking about sales or like the communications with people. There's somebody else producing the podcast or someone else doing the video editing. And you really have to know your role and understand it is actually very selfish, like in the negative context. I have nothing about selfishness, but like in the negative sense, when you take away from your team, from the people in your life, from letting them shine. And I've had to learn how to do that, not only as a coach, but even as a partner to somebody else. Like I let my lady shine more often. I just let her speak. I let her talk. And the same thing with my clients. I let them speak. I let them find their problems and they become their own expert in their life. And you realize like it is a disservice if you're trying to just do everything for everyone. You're just taking up so much energy being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And when you realize you can step back, you can see the full vision, you can play a little bit of something else and you go, oh, wow, maybe this is, this is their role. This is what I need to do. And honestly, that just to bring it on home, like really understand your presence, understand what you can do in this earth and understand what you can do in like the business side of it too.
Yeah. You're interested by certain things for a reason. There's certain things that gravitate to your attention. And I never, like you said, I'm the creative type. I've never felt that way. I've never felt like I'm creative. I do look at things of like, that would be interesting, But it's like, yeah, like the model of like, and this actually happened with the nonprofit lawyer. It was like, walks do really well. And I was like, I don't want to be like everybody else. Here's my idea though. Yes, walks do really well. But what are we preaching about? We're preaching about activity during the workday. We're talking about getting people to find ways to take activity and upregulate that throughout their day. And so when they get home, they can actually just fucking relax, right? Whether it is the 9 to 5, right? Whether it is you doing it in a remote sense or actually in the office, there's a way to curate that environment. And when I get this event to go, I shouldn't say when we get this event to go, right? I may have stemmed with the idea, the execution of it takes the fucking team. Trust me.
Yeah.
We're going to get everybody together and do something. I'll just say it here. If someone else takes this idea first, go ahead. That doesn't matter. We're going to do a walk-a-thon, but with video games. Boom. So what I mean by that is like there's going to be a actual competition, right? Kids, parents, whatever. And if the parents can't play the video game well, so what? You lose, right? What did you actually gain though? Your kids had fun, right? That's
hanging
the whole
out
point,
with kids.
Right? Hang out with your kids. But I'm going to figure out a way. We're going to figure out this way to get under the desk treadmills to be what you're walking on while playing these games in that competition environment. It may only be 20 to start. It might be 50. I don't know how many we'll be able to actually get. And then we're going to give them all away to people so they can go incorporate that walking in their life after we showed them that, hey, you can actually multitask better than you think, right? And the action of walking, again, it's not going to be you on a meeting like this or a Zoom meeting, but when you're doing emails or there's other things where, you feel a little stagnant, I can't tell you how many times people have told me, wow, when I get that movement in, I'm more creative, right? And again, like whether it's at home or outside. And hell, guess what? Now you have this thing that doesn't give you an excuse to not do it, right? And you're going to look at that thing. It's going to be staring at you every day. Not like not like the treadmill that sits in the corner like a coat rack
with the coat hanger now.
with that's
Yeah,
too big. We're going to get something that's, again, going to tuck away, and you're going to get it out, and we're going to build better humans day by day.
dude, it's so funny you bring this up because I've been having this conversation. I coach a lot of busy professionals, a lot of sales guys.
Mhm.
For some reason, it was so funny because I've been telling this to people since like I got my walking treadmills all around my house. I got like 3 in the house, 1 in the garage, 1 in my girls' room, 1 in my office, and then 1 here in this office. I spent like $600 on them. I got like a standing desk for my brother. I'm like on this chain because like here's the thing. The theory of constraints is, look, the constraint is you're going to work your 9 to 5. I don't necessarily need you to walk an hour and a half with your kids after the day, like, and you're already tired. Can you do it throughout your day? Maybe hang out with your kids instead of like forcing them to do this walk. I mean, still do it. But all the sales guys that I put them on the walking, they're like, dude, I went from a 32% to 52% closing. And like another guy was like, dude, I sold like 4 things right after my walk. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Like, how awesome. It directly correlated to your work, it seemed like. And they're like, dude, I'm just in a better state. And I was like, hell yeah.
That's the time where being selfish is being selfless. You'll be a better contributing member of your team when you're taking care of your needs. Because when all those things start coming down, I'm in this stagnant job, I'm not doing what I'm, you know what I mean? Like everything, workflow and productivity goes down, right? Like, and that's where, again, like I'm not sure how we'll eventually pull that actual event off, but I know that it will be such an amazing thing, probably in one of the high school gyms. Like I can kind of view it now, and they're doing this, in my head I think of it as a Super Smash Bros tournament, right?
There it
And like,
is.
and like, shoot, get on an N64, like something that's super
Yeah, old
nostalgic.
school. A bunch of
You
people
have
could
a
probably buy
cable.
them on Amazon real fast.
Well, but whatever. And shoot, hell, again, maybe you have X amount of things and you donate that as well, right? Like, again, everything has a purpose. And again, productivity is something how you might deem it. And again, why not you? Why not us? Right? And this scape, I don't. Well, I say I don't. I really try to refrain from using that because I know that me and Seamus are a team here, and it's something that we're working on here. And also the other, behind the scenes people that we talk about. Um, we're going to create better lives for all of us and more people. Again, we don't want a massive team of people. And that question that Ed said about like how much do you want to scale it, I just want to scale it to enough where everybody feels like their purpose is met and that we're able to continue to drive value to everybody.
Yeah,
That's literally the goal. Money
that's it.
comes as a damn byproduct of when you're pursuing happiness, right?
Yeah,
And that was that word of eudaimonia, right? Right.
eustress.
I want
Yeah,
more eudaimonia in my life, right? That happiness seeking journey.
yeah,
And when I had this patient I talked to this week, because of the systems I've been implementing from all these conversations over this last year, you get to have conversations with people that say something that sticks. And for me, it was that word. I never heard it before. Literally that word, that happiness seeking journey versus a pleasure seeking journey like hedonic or hedonism, right? It's it was amazing. And then the next day there was another call with another patient. And then every day it's something. Every day can be something. And you can provide so much value just by listening. And Ed said that so well too, indirectly. Right? You got to
yeah.
listen and then you have to go to bat and fight for what you believe. And if they're going to have resistance to those things, you're right. Maybe we're just not the best fit, right?
That's okay too.
It'll be
And
yeah.
that's it. I think, Marcos, we'll end it there. I'm gonna jump
Yeah.
into another few things here, but guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
seriously, I think this episode, it's talking about sales. We're talking about gym stuff. I think it goes more into that. But the psychology of people, if you understand it, if you really listen to it, has nothing to do necessarily with sales and gyms. It has everything to do with life. So please give it a like, give it a listen, give it a comment, share it with somebody that can get from there. But other than that, macro perspective peeps, we are out. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.